Partnership for Africa Social and Governance Research, PASGA, in partnership with the MasterCard Foundation, in 2021, commissioned a multi-country research on youth aspiration, resilience, and adaptability in 7 African countries, which include Kenya, Rwanda, Uganda, Ethiopia, Ghana, Nigeria, and Senegal. The study was youth-led and youth participatory. I mean, from its inception, it was involving young women and men, and they are the one who conducted the research. I think I'm the oldest one in the teams, but all the research assistants and other were youth-led participatory research to explore realities of young women and men around youth, youthhood, and the aspiration and hopes for future work in relation to education, training, socioeconomic well-being, and barriers to these sectors. So perspectives on dignified and fulfilling work and the impact of socioeconomic and an environment shock, such as the recent COVID pandemic, as well as the strategy for resilience and adaptability, were studied. So the study also explored policy and programmatic imperatives to the contextual evidence from each of the 7 countries. In Rwanda, the study was conducted by IPA Rwanda team, IPA Rwanda being the Institute of Policy Analysis and Research. At IPA, we promote policy dialogue and policy debate. So we have been commissioned to conduct this research, and today we will be glad to share with you what we got. And of course, we need to have your insights and inputs to achieve the target of creating decent and fulfilling job for young generations. On behalf of IPA Rwanda, I would like to give a floor to the director of PASGA, the Partnership for African Social and Governance Research, based in Kenya, to give us her welcome remarks. Thank you, Dr. Pauline, to accept my invitation.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, I've been introduced as Pauline Gimwa. I'm the Acting Executive Director at the Partnership for African Social and Governance Research. Before I commence my remarks, allow me to acknowledge all of you. And in particular, I'm informed that we have representatives from the ministry, from the government, that is Ministry of Education, Mr. Butara Emmanuel, Ministry of Trade and Commerce, Turimuma Etienne. We also have representative from ActionAid, the Executive Director, Ines Mwagamba, and the UN Women, Ms. Agnes Mukabisa, Program Associate. I want to acknowledge our youth, and very ably represented by the youngest. Her name is Liane, and that gives us a lot of hope that we have a future. I humbly want to acknowledge our partner, MasterCard Foundation, the director for research systems, strengthening and knowledge mobilization, and my good friend and brother, Professor Ayobami Ojebude, and Professor Ibrahim Owanda, the head of research systems and strengthening. It is our humble delight to be able to partner with the MasterCard Foundation and also with IPA, the CEO, Ms. Eugenia Kayitesi, ably represented by her team, led by the principal investigator for this work, Dr. Innocent Dikubimana. So ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you today with a great sense of pride and humility as we gather to celebrate the remarkable achievements and insights that have emerged from the collaborative efforts of the Partnership for African Social and Governance Research, the MasterCard Foundation, and IPA Rwanda. Together, we embarked on a transformative journey aimed at reshaping the narrative of youth empowerment in Africa and paving the way for a brighter future for the generations to come. And indeed, for generations like that one, ably represented by Rian. First and foremost, allow me to introduce the Partnership for African Social and Governance Research. We abbreviate ourselves as PASGA, so you will not hear the long name. You will hear PASGA quite often. And its pivotal mandate of advancing research excellence for governance and public policy in Africa. We are a Pan-African organization headquartered in Nairobi, Kenya, with a footprint in over 26 African countries. We work in partnership with individual researchers and policy actors, but also importantly, with research institutions such as IPA, Rwanda, and many others, with universities, with government departments, with the civil society to deliver the mandate through our 3 anchor programs, which include the research program, which is anchoring this work, the higher education program, which works collaboratively with the universities to deliver graduate programs. Currently, we have 2 graduate programs, a master program, we call it the Master of Research and Public Policy, which is collaboratively delivered across 13 universities in 7 African countries. We also have a doctorate program, Doctor in Public Policy, that is currently being delivered in 3 African universities. We also have a professional development and training program that works to tool and retool African researchers. And to date, we have trained over 4,000 early and mid-career researchers. We employ our flagship Utafiti Sera project. You will hear more about it later as the work is being disseminated. But essentially, for the Kiswahili speakers, you know, Utafiti Sera stands for research policy. So this is an innovative and tested approach for advancing research policy agenda in Africa to influence policy and programs at subnational, national, regional levels, fostering inclusive development and sustainable progress. About 3 years ago, we got into partnership with the MasterCard Foundation and IPA Rwanda, a partnership that was not merely transactional, but one born out of a shared commitment to creating a brighter future for the young women and men of Africa. Together, we fused PASGA's vision for mission for research excellence with the MasterCard Foundation's ambitious Young Africa Work Strategy, setting our sights on a lofty goal to provide 30 million jobs for young Africans with a special focus on empowering young women. And again, my mind keep going to our little girl there, because she's not only the youngest, but she's also a woman. So when I look at her, I see great future for the kind of work that we have done today. Today, we are looking at our 3-year journey, which we commenced within a project called the African Youth Aspirations and Resilience. And this sought to unlock the potential of young people across the continent and provide them with the tools and opportunities they need to thrive. Let me illustrate why this is important with some observations I have made among youth. I come from a little village on the outskirts of Nairobi, Kenya's capital city. There's a lot of encroachment by the expanding city, and therefore, we no longer have much land remaining. But the number of youth, mostly without formal employment, keeps growing. Over time, I have observed emerging patterns of this youth. One category spends the whole day idling aimlessly with nothing much and with no gainful income. This group largely engages in undesirable activities, such as taking illicit brew, chewing cat. I don't know whether you have cat here. I know it is not legalized, but in Kenya, chewing cat is legal. So you see this category of youth, they are not only involved in illicit brew, but they also chew cat. And sometimes you find that they're engaged in crime. But we also have another category of youth that I have observed. This is highly dynamic and versatile and spend their day in various income generating activities. I'll give you an example of one such youth that I have come to know. His name is Gogi. He starts his day very early in the morning, sometimes at 5 o'clock. And he, at that early in the morning, he's a farm help. He milks and feeds 2 cows. And he earns a living by doing that. Then opens his very tiny shop where he does tailoring and runs a cyber cafe, and in the evening provides barber services after he's gone back and fed and milked his animals. To be able to succeed in what he does, he enrolled in a tailoring course. And he uses the proceeds from his farm help work to equip his small shop, buy the equipment for his cyber cafe, and also buy his tailoring machine. This scenario, you'll agree with me, is depicted in many African settings. And this is becoming more and more prevalent. So when you look back to some of the youth you know in your settings, you will start seeing those 2 patterns of youth emerging. So this illustration that I have given you underpins the overarching aim of the Africa Youth Aspirations and Resilience Project, where we sought to unlock the potential of young people like Ngoge and many others by providing them with the tools and opportunities they needed to thrive. Through rigorous research and engagement we aimed to examine and establish young people's aspirations and perspectives on dignified, fulfilling work, connecting evidence to national policies and programs on youth development, and ultimately hoping to create action that would improve the lives and livelihoods of these African young people. What is unique about the process that we embarked on is that it was highly, highly participatory. We adopted a youth-led process that was embedded within our utafiti sera approach, not only to generate evidence on realities of the young people, but equally important to explore policy and programmatic recommendations specific to different contexts. That is why I started my remarks by acknowledging the presence of the government, because the government represents a very, very critical arm of decision-making, policy-making. So it is our hope that the recommendations that are coming out of this work will get space in the government offices and in the government's, the highest decision-making level. So over the 3 years, our journey has taken across 7 countries. Rwanda is one of the 7 countries to deliver an effective project that promises to drive greater impact in addressing the challenges of young youth unemployment and overall diminishing livelihoods. In Rwanda, as in many other countries across the continent, youth unemployment remains a pressing issue, with rates exceeding 20%. However, our research has revealed a deeper truth. Behind the statistics lie stories of resilience, innovation, and determination. And I'm very sure we are going to hear a lot of this in the course of today. So in Rwanda, we have witnessed firsthand the incredible potential of young people, similar to the one I referred to in my village, whose dreams and aspirations are as vast as the African plains. Despite facing staggering unemployment rates, these young people are not deterred. That is what our findings have shown. They display a remarkable resilience, harnessing their creativity and ingenuity to navigate the complexities of the modern world. And this is very, very well depicted by the illustration I gave. A young person has so much that they do to generate an income. Yet beneath the unwavering determination lies a poignant truth. The journey to realizing their dreams is faced with obstacles. Let us jointly interrogate the findings that will be presented today and the recommendations. I am privy to the findings because I have looked at the report, and something that, there are many things that have come out, very useful information. There is one that I picked. I observed that most Rwandan youth do not aspire to get into the agricultural sector. Yet, most of them aspire to get into business and industry. A bit of contradiction, and this is where the contradiction comes. We know from some of the studies that we have done elsewhere, and in Kenya in particular, so many youth are now drifting towards agribusiness and showing a lot of interest along the agricultural value chain. There is a county that is called Makueni County. And I have observed youth that are so heavily involved in growing citrus fruits and mangoes. And they are making a lot of money by that involvement. And that corroborates part of the studies that we have done actually in Makueni County and another county. So this is the contradiction. Youth in Rwanda are not driven towards agriculture, where studies have shown that there's a lot of business around that, agribusiness. Yet, the same youth, they aspire to get to business. This is a very important finding that needs interrogation to see what policy recommendations can be given to the policymakers to empower the youth to start embracing some of the sectors such as agriculture. Agriculture, as we know in Africa, is not only a source of, it's not only the backbone of our economy, but also contributes heavily towards food security. That is one among many recommendations that have come out of this work in Rwanda. So we must not also forget the category of the youth that I talked about, the one that idles around. What are their aspirations? What are their dreams? Do they actually have aspirations and dreams? Been killed by not being able to remain resilient. These are some of the questions I'm throwing out to you as we listen to the findings, as we engage with the findings. So as researchers and policy actors present here, what evidence can we generate that would move that particular category of youth that I've talked about to join the others to become more dynamic, versatile, and resilient, and in the process, empower them and support them to achieve dignified and fulfilling work. So in conclusion, as we reflect on our collective achievements and insights, let us honor African youth's resilience, tenacity, and unwavering belief in a better tomorrow. And let us reaffirm our commitment to partnerships, just such as the ones that we have, to collaborate and to shape shared vision of a more prosperous and inclusive Africa. One more thing before I conclude. I want to also challenge our researchers and policy actors in Rwanda to also engage with the findings of the other countries and see where Rwanda sits within the continent. And we have done, with the support of the MasterCard, we have produced a number of publications that are now in our website. I encourage you to go to our website and look at them. We have one that was done late last year. It's about how African youth navigate their aspirations for dignified and fulfilling work. And it looks across the 7 countries. Something that we observed early on from the findings is that youth are no longer waiting after they finish their training. They are no longer just there. They've moved to what we call hustling. In fact, hustling in Kenya is sort of been formalized as a concept. So this one is from waithood to hustling, Africa's youth quest for dignified and fulfilling work. Very interesting findings. And we have a synthesis report that also picks from what I've said, waithood to hustling. And it again synthesizes all the reports across the 7 African countries. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to end my remarks there and wish you a fruitful deliberation. Thank you very much.
Another round of applause for Dr. Pauline. For the moment, I would love to invite Professor Ayo for his remarks for today. Thank you, Prof.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ayo. There is no need adding the surname because even if I did, you will forget. It's not a particularly easy surname. As I said earlier, I work in the research and learning team of the MasterCard Foundation, based here in Kigali. And my team and I have been working with, in partnership with PASGA to support this work. I'm going to give half of my remarks at this time. The country head of the MasterCard Foundation, Mr. David Rangirwa, will be joining us here in about 30 minutes, and he will give the second half of my remarks. The MasterCard Foundation is an independent philanthropy and charity organization established in 2006 by the MasterCard Incorporated, the business. And we always want to show how grateful we are as a foundation for the gift we were given by the MasterCard business to do the kind of work that we're doing today. But we also want to say we are independent. We have our own board, and so we always want to be referred to as MasterCard Foundation rather than MasterCard. Since 2006, we have been in this space, and the aim of the MasterCard Foundation can be summarized into two: promoting financial inclusion and also promoting education. We say these are our two broad charitable objectives. About 2018, the foundation decided to move a good part of its activities from Canada to Africa. And from that point on, we were guided and driven by a strategy we call the Young Africa Works Strategy. That strategy says we want to enable 30 million young people to access dignified and fulfilling employment by the year 2030. 70% of these 30 million young people will be women. And these 30 million young people will be Africans. I mean, this is our strategy for Africa. 30 million young people, 70% women in dignified and fulfilling employment on the continent. And we have continued to work towards this aim in 7 countries and beyond. So we have a huge amount of work going on here in Rwanda, in Uganda, in Ethiopia, in Kenya, in Senegal, in Ghana. And I was going to say most importantly, but I won't say that, in Nigeria. In each of these offices we have, each of these countries we have offices, but in Senegal, we have an office that actually works in 8 other Francophone West African countries called the WAEMO region, West African Economic and Monetary Union countries. So we say we are in 7 countries, yes, but we work in many more countries than 7. Now, let me take you a little bit back to what we call the Young Africa Work Strategy, which I talked about briefly, to enable 30 million young people to access dignified and fulfilling employment. Enable means we really are not creating these 30 million jobs. We really don't know how to create jobs. As a matter of fact, the MasterCard Foundation, we don't know how to do anything on our own. Everything we ever do, we do with our partners. And that is why we value the kind of relationship we have with the Partnership for African Social and Governance Research, PASGA. That is why we value the relationship we have with hundreds of other organizations with whom we partner, because we don't do anything on our own. But importantly, we also don't assume that we know what the young people are thinking. what is dignified and fulfilling employment, for instance? It can look simple. You can say, yeah, it's a good job. It's this and that. But we have discovered that from person to person, the definition of dignified and fulfilling employment is not the same. From people group to people group, the definitions are not the same. From age group to age group, the definitions are not the same. It used to be dignified and fulfilling in those days, like 50 years ago, to be a gate man in a government office. If you can find their photographs, go and check. They were wearing well-starched khaki uniforms, and they look really cheerful, and they have authority written all over them. And everybody who saw them bowed to them and say, yes, sir. But they were gatemen in government establishment, in post offices, in hospitals, and so on and so forth. That was dignified and fulfilling at that time. I'm not very sure if we ask 100 young people if they want to be gatemen at government offices, they are going to be happy to say, yeah, we want to be. They will tell you that is not very dignified and fulfilling. So as time changes, these definitions change. And the MasterCard Foundation says, we want to always listen to the young people with whom we are working. And that is why we are supporting this research, to just simply help us access the perspectives of young people that we're working with on dignified and fulfilling employment. If we know how they define dignified and fulfilling employment, then we will know how to adjust our strategy to serve them better. There is something young people are also like to eat in Nigeria. They call it shawarma. I think in East Africa, it's called wraps. Somewhere in Uganda, it's called Rolex. You know, the best wraps I ever ate was from a small, tiny shop in Nigeria, in Ibadan, where I live. And it was nice. It had sufficient spices and all of that. And so I kept going back, not just for me, but also for the kids. But I was shocked. One day I met the woman who ran this small shop, feeling and reading through some very complicated documents, legal documents. So I was curious and I started asking questions quietly, only for me to realize that she was actually a qualified lawyer. She had Bachelor of Laws, and then she had gone to law school, so she was a barrister and an advocate. So I got closer and asked questions. This was the decision of his father, who was a senior advocate in Nigeria. The father said, you must be a lawyer. And of course, obediently, she agreed. She went to the university, qualified as a lawyer, then she went to the National Law School and also qualified, and then came back and folded the certificate and gave the father. That is your certificate, sir. She wants to run a restaurant. For her, providing direct means of survival to human beings is far more dignified and fulfilling than appearing before my Lord and my Lord. Yes, my Lord. No, my Lord. This way, my Lord. That way, my Lord. That's her definition. Could anybody ever have imagined that being a lawyer will be considered less dignified and fulfilling than running a restaurant by the roadside? No, it's not possible. The definitions are subjective, and that is why we think we want to listen. Importantly, one of our values as a foundation is listening, and we don't want to play with that. This is why we also decided, when Pasga brought this idea, this is a good idea for us to support. And I want to suggest that the findings of this research is not meant for just us. That is why we are happy that government is represented here. Other non-governmental organizations like us are also here. Every other person that's capable of making use of these findings of this research, we appeal, should go home today with something very concrete they are going to start to do or stop to do or to do a lot more as a result of the findings of this. We're very happy and thankful to PASGA for the thoroughness that have accompanied this process in the last 3 years. And we're thankful also for IPA, who partnered with Partner on that side. We believe that this is just the beginning of a journey. As we continue to refine our strategy, we are going to be taking on more and more activities, and we will be calling on PASGA and a few other people who are here so that they can continue to help us, we can continue to work together. I'm going to stop now, but when David comes, he's going to tell us about the specific activities that we are carrying out in Rwanda for the information of the people who are here, so that you may also know how you can be part of what we're doing. Thank you very much.
Another round of applause for Professor Ayo. Thank you, Prof, for fruitful and insightful ideas. I think we need to be with you more so that we can learn more. I would like to invite the project coordinator of Youth Aspiration and Resilience Project at PASGA, Mr. Joel Otieno, to elaborate more on the project. Thank you, Joel.
Good morning again, everyone. Thank you very much for the initial speakers, especially my director and also Professor Ayo, for opening the floor and also allowing us to go into the discussions for the day. We also appreciate all of you for coming in to listen to the outcomes, insights, and lessons that we have from this project and from the work that we have done. And want to invite you very much to take a keen listen and also to engage during the day. So I'll give a short overview of the project and the work that we have done. Of course, the initial speakers have painted a picture that this work was implemented not only here in Rwanda, but also in other, 6 countries across the Africa. And the aim of the work was to also, overall aim is to enhance youth empowerment and building capacities for young people. But also in that process, we sought to listen to young people and to understand their views on issues of aspirations, resilience, but also more importantly, on the concept of dignified and fulfilling work as it aligns to the MasterCard Foundation's Young Africa Work Strategy. So what are some of the context issues that led us to having this project and commissioning this research? One of them is, of course, the growing youth population in Africa. And we know that that's a good thing, right? Okay? That we have statistically over 70% of the population in Africa aged below 30, right? And I know, each of these countries have different statistics, like Rwanda is heavily young. So most of the population is below the age of 30. But also that this population is, fast growing, and projections show that by 2050, the population will grow to about 2.5 billion from just about 1.5 billion today. So with that, of course, creates the pressures, and the pressure that we sought to, dealing with in all these countries is increased unemployment and inadequate opportunities to empower and build the lives and livelihoods of the young and the population that we have. So how, some of the questions is how to keep young people engaged. Of course, many of them are lacking work, Many of them also do not have opportunities for dignified and fulfilling work. But how can they be engaged? And also to provide them with dignified and fulfilling work. And as if you listen to Ayo, you realize that it's not the point to say that young people do not have work. Research shows that young people across the continent are the most resilient, and many a times they report having something to do. But the question is, does that work provide them with what we call dignified and fulfilling employment? And because that dictates whether they would stay and do those kind of jobs for longer and contribute to the development of the countries. And the third point there is, of course, the response by the MasterCard Foundation, the strategic focus espoused in the Young Africa Work Strategy. If you look on the website, you can be able to find that and read it for yourself. But as has been said, this is an ambitious plan and goal to build and create jobs or connect young people to opportunities that can help them live better lives. So then the partnership between PASGA, the MasterCard Foundation began. And in that, we commissioned the research on Africa Youth Aspirations and Resilience in September 2021, of course, as a multi-country project. And some of the project's main goals was, one, understand the aspirations, goals, and ambitions of young people in relation to work and employment. Because if we understand their aspirations and their goals and what they're working towards, then we can tell the direction that young people want to go. And we can align programs and activities better to respond to their needs and to their strengths and capacities. Second is to examine young people's resilience and how they demonstrate it in the context of limited opportunities, of course, and socioeconomic shocks. For example, the recent COVID pandemic, but also we know that young people across the countries, and especially here in Rwanda, confronted with so many other challenges. And how do they demonstrate their resilience? It's important in addressing this challenge that we have and providing better opportunities for young people. Capture their young people's perspectives on dignified and fulfilling work from their own voices. And because this is important, as he said, that the definition of dignified and fulfilling work is fluid. And every person has their own understanding. And so our research sought to listen to young people. What do they say? What do they want? And how can this be provided? Because that is helpful in understanding how to create responsive programs and involve youth more effectively. And of course, provide or profile strategic actions to guide evidence and also to connect evidence to policy. If you look at that, as we've said, our focus is the 7 countries. And from the explanation of Professor Ayo, you've heard that these are, primarily the countries of focus for the MasterCard Foundation, but there are more to that because there are several other countries that are falling, overlapping with that. And while we've done the research in the 7 countries, we understand that the peculiarities in other countries are different, but that is, a question of further study and further establishment. And so for now, the work we commissioned focused on those, and Rwanda is one of them as a focus country in that sense. So the understanding and the perspectives of young people, especially in here, are very important to this process and very important in building effective and responsive programs to empower, build capacity, and improve livelihoods of young people. Our methodology was a little bit, expanded from the normal research and normal studies. While we established to understand, the realities on the, continent using also, published work and research, we also employed a political economy analysis to understand the several actors and their interest and how they play a part in building capacities for young people. And we also sought in that sense to understand, to engage a gender, grounded gender analysis as it relates to young people, because there are several differences and peculiarities between male and female, and also, regarding the roles. And this we've seen across the 7 countries, that the realities for young people are not the same anywhere. And so with that understanding, our work also engages very closely with, having a gender analysis and continuing to run that process in a way that helps us understand better and synthesize the evidence that we have. We've also engaged heavily with stakeholders, and this has, been anchored on Pasca's innovative model of Utafiti Sera that enables the creation of Utafiti Sera houses and building, engagement and creating interactions between these partners as a way of building, creating common understanding and build, co-creating together in answering some of these questions. And so sometime in March 2022, the Utafiti Sera House was created here in Rwanda. And so partners were invited to be part of it, and we've engaged them throughout the research as part of ensuring that the knowledge we generate, the process we employ, and also the activities that we have are, co-created and built around, realities and factors on the ground. We've also created as part of it as a mentorship and capacity building component, where in all the 7 countries, we engaged younger researchers at the research level, at the field level, and all that, in a bid to build their capacities and encourage them to take on, work or interest in research and carrying out research. Particularly, we engaged a number of, a total of 15 younger researchers, which we call research associates across the countries. And these are younger researchers with an interest in career in research. And the purpose of engaging them in the work was to build their capacity and to train them, giving them, hands-on experience in undertaking research and doing, analysis and writing. But of course, we employed a mixed methods where both quantitative and qualitative data have been analyzed in preparing the report that will be presented later. So what is the project journey here in Rwanda? Of course, this is similar to all the countries, but what is important is we started with an inception meeting that involved, invited stakeholders. We co-created the research. We invited views. Response and reactions to the project that we wanted, and we also we understood the interests that are played in the country, and so we set an Utafiti Sera House here in March 2022, and that kicked off the research process and the project phase in general. Then, of course, we went into design of tools and preparing for the research, where we had a research team, of course, the partnership with IPA Rwanda, and engaged a number of young people in, reflecting on the questions and understanding what would be their responses and whether those apply to, to them, or they are, what their opinions would be. And of course, also acquired a research permit, which is a, formal legal permission to carry out the study in the country. We commissioned the field work between July and October 2022, and this was purely youth-led. We engaged a number of young people because we realized that to get, the views of young people, you have to engage them with young people. Most of the young people do not want older people to go and ask them questions about their lives, because they feel that there's intergeneration, there's a disconnect between the generations. But in our work, we tried as much as possible to bring in a number of young, research assistants and field assistants who went into the field, talked to young people, and recorded their views and response to the questions that we had. Of course, the data analysis followed that, and we engaged the teams across the countries and also here in a writing workshop where also we trained further on data analysis and presentation, but also on analysis of quant and qual data and validation activities. So up to that, we have carried out the research process, but also invites us to this last session that we have, which is the dissemination and sharing our findings and feedback with you. Some of the insights and lessons we've captured are prepared in the Rwanda country report that you will also have an opportunity to engage with. There's also the overall synthesis report that is being prepared to synthesize the findings and the country of findings into a more general and Africa-centric report that looks into what priorities do young Africans have in terms of building their capacities and empowering them for dignified and fulfilling work. We've also developed technical briefs. There are policy briefs, there are op-eds and blogs published in media across the countries, and also infographic materials. So we encourage you, as was echoed by the initial speakers, that you engage with the PASCA website where all these have now been uploaded, and more will be uploaded in the coming days and weeks and months, so that continually you engage with this evidence and find opportunities that you run. Today, we are looking at the dissemination workshop, and what we want to achieve with the workshop today, one, is to present to you the findings, have you engage with it, and also reflect on it. We will highlight key insights, lessons relevant to national policy and program development. We also hope that in the process, we can have, you can provide reflections and feedback on the findings and connect evidence to the national policies and programs, as we have said. And also, as a part of it, create sustainable and sustained engagement, and networking opportunities between the different stakeholders. We realize that none can achieve this ambitious goal alone, right? And so the network and the engagement between us is important so that we can find points of synergy in our programs, in our activities, in the work that we run, and see how we can combine our efforts to address the youth unemployment challenge, but also to empower and encourage young people to achieve their aspirations and life goals. Well, we expect that after the session, we can have the presentation. Of course, all of us will engage with the findings. We will also identify key priority areas of action for policymakers, but also program leaders, and also create partnerships and networks focused on youth empowerment. And with that, we hope that we shall have achieved the purpose of today's workshop. And so in that, I want to say that the purpose of bringing you here is so that we can engage with the findings. We want to hear your views more. We want to hear your perspectives more. And also, particularly for the young people who are here, to speak, to tell us in their own voices and thoughts, what do these things mean and relate in their own lives, and how best can young people be supported and be encouraged to take on opportunities that would improve their lives. I want to invite you and want to thank you very much for the opportunity and for coming today, and hope that we shall have a fruitful engagement. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Joel. Can you help me and applaud for him again? Joel is the lead, the coordinator of the project at PASCA. So I would invite the audience, if you have any question, it's now time for question for Joel to if you need more clarification about the project. So, Christelle, can you help me with the mic? I have another mic.
Thank you, Joel, for the presentation. I just want to ask if, as per youth aspirations, did you consider the rural and urban aspirations? Because generally you find they have different aspirations. Did you consider like urban youth or rural youth?
Let's take 3 questions, then I'll give Joel the floor. Is there any other question? Over there is.
So thank you, Joel, for the insightful presentation. I'm by the name of Jean Didier Bagirihirwe. I work for the Central Organization of Trade Unions here in Rwanda, Central. I want to know, for when it comes into youth, there are different age consideration depending with each country context. Like for the UN, I know it is someone from 18 to 35, but currently in Rwanda context, it is someone who is below 30. So I want to know the range of the years that you have been considered conducting this research to know the accuracy of the data that we are going to see. Thank you.
I would like to have 3 questions. Yes, the mic is close to you.
Mine is just something like when you develop the recommendations, did you consider, like, I've seen the aspirations, did you consider those who are employed, those who are already in agriculture, those who, because most of the things that I saw, it's the aspirations. Is it considered in this part? Thank you.
Joel, welcome back.
I think there's a lot of appetite to engage with the evidence. And because going by the questions that we have, this would be been presented in the country-specific findings and report. Issues like urban and rural considerations, I think the research really considered that. And if I remember very well, Dr. Innocent, we went into about 16 districts spread across Rwanda, right? 16 districts, and the details of the districts will be provided, but that was taken into consideration because we also appreciate that young people in the rural and young people in the urban tend to have different aspirations, and so we wanted to have a fuller scope of what the aspirations and the perspectives of these young people have, and how can we engage those different groups more effectively. About age considerations, again, the country team, when we present the report, will answer that more directly. But I want to mention that, of course, youth and youth definition varies. And part of the research question, I think, sought to know what does it refer to be a youth and to become young. Of course, there are different perspectives, but the most common definition is the age definition. And it also varies. The UN, the AU, and all these things vary. So, but also we have those differences in our country. So I believe that clarification will be provided again. And also for the whether youth were employed or unemployed, that will come out in the findings, if I'm not wrong, Dr. Innocent. Yes. So I believe, so now what I should do is to invite you to become more attentive and check whether these questions are getting answered, right? Because I see that there's a lot of appetite to engage with the findings. I want to appreciate those questions and say that it's already becoming engaging. Thank you.
Thank you, Joel. I think most of your questions can find answers in our presentation of the findings, but what I can say in Rwanda, youth, we considered the age from 16 to 30. 16 to 30 and urban and rural context. The 16 districts where the research were conducted are spread across the 4 provinces and the city of Kigali. The city of Kigali, we had 1 district and the other 15 around east, north, south, west. All the provinces were covered. In addition to that, in each district, we identified 1 sector as an urban sector and the other one as a rural sector. How did we do that? The urban sector were considered as, if it is like, let's say, Nyamasheke district, which is a western province district, there it is not easy to find an urban area, for example, but we considered where the office of the district is as an urban sector. And we found 1 sector far from the tarmac road. We had such factors that helped us to identify urban and rural settings. And for example, in Kigali, we were in Kichukiro, if I remember well. We take 1 near in this city, then we go to the peri-urban areas to just cover different views. So that's all I can say for now. And I would like to invite Delphine, the research associate in this project, and Christelle. They'll be the one that will present the country findings. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for attending this workshop. Now it is time for us to share with you the research findings as from the primary data collection, as mentioned by Joel, as one of the methodology. The research is titled Young Women and Men's Insight on Youthhood and Aspiration for Livelihood, Employment, and Future Fulfilling Jobs. So for this presentation contains objectives, methodology, youthhood, aspirations, consideration of success by youth, and definition of dignified and fulfilling work, impact of COVID and youth aspiration, as the data collection and the research was conducted in 2022. It was in COVID. It was in time of COVID, and we will present to you the barriers to achieving their aspirations, how the youth do they adapt, and resilience, and the conclusion and the recommendation from youth. As said by Joel, the study was one of 7 countries in Africa. So as Rwanda was part of the project, and the study was done by youth, we recruited young to conduct data collection and get insight from youth by youth themselves. It was also, as said by Joel, it was a mixed method where we targeted 160 youth, 100 per district, and in the district, 50 youth. Well, we targeted them from the area, urban area and rural area. From the quantitative, we were targeting vulnerable youth as youth with disability, historical marginalized youth, but we are selected randomly in quantitative. But for qualitative, we had specific focus group and some in deep interviews with youth with disability. We had 4 focus group in 29. We had 4 of youth with disability. Respondent by gender and age group, as in Rwanda, the youth age group is defined from 18 to 30 years, 16 to 30 years, no, 18 to 30 years. We targeted the youth from this, we ranged the youth category as this range, but following the examples of other countries, we couldn't make age ranges differently from other 6 countries. But from Rwanda, the youth were from 18 to 30 years old. And men were mainly representative, 52% over women's. And the high category youth were representative by 42%, the youth with age between 21 to 25 years old. When speaking to youth, we were asking youth how about they define themselves what is a youth, if they were considered themselves as youth. So from their perspective and insight, they told us what they consider a youth. Someone's classified youth by age of between 10 and 35, and others were telling us that a youth is someone who is single. As if someone has 40 years old and still single, for them, they defined him or she as a youth. We asked them about how the community do define the youth and youthhood. And also they told us that in the community, they consider a youth as a very single person, also an unmarried one. And even if she or he is 40 years, maybe a youth. And they told us by the law, the youth is between 18 and 35. For the youth aspiration, most of youth aspire to be business business in their future, they want to become self-employed. So most of them want to be entrepreneurs, as stated in the quotations below. In social aspirations, youth want to have family, create families, get married, and especially for youth with disability, they want to be considered like others and get the same opportunities like normal youth. This is got from a focus group done in Nyabihu district in Western. From civil aspirations, some youth in Rwanda want to become soldiers, work for the country, want to be good in use of any community activities like Muganda and other community activities. Like, for example, the one who said that he wants to join the army in order to work for the country as their parent or elder did. I think by what the youth in Rwanda consider as success, respondent, most of them considered that a good success is creating a good business, as they aspire in economic to create their own businesses, and having good job also, and being also financially rich. So they want to have money in their pocket, either through businesses or job or other things. For example, in the qualitative, one said, I have a good life. To have a good life is when you can create your own business, and as what she consider as a good success. Speaking of what youth define in Rwanda of dignified and fulfilling work, all the youth in general thought that a dignified and a fulfilling work is when you are handsomely paid, a job with a good pay. But when comparing young women and men, the definition somehow for women change, where they say our young women that a dignified and fulfilling work is a job where mothers can work conveniently. So they bring the family issues, the issue of getting child and having work at the same time. Let me give the floor to my colleague, Christelle, to continue this presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, my colleague Delphine. So I also continue about the impact of COVID on youth aspiration. As you see here, the most affected aspect due to COVID was the economic aspect. As you see, 86% has confirmed that the economic aspect has been affected by this COVID-19. The foreign one was education, and the other one was social culture, because you know that in COVID, we were in lockdown. So most of this social culture, social community, social activity were not around. So these are the comments we got from youth when qualitative, in what we were doing like focus group. Like you see, these young people were saying young people became hopeless in line of employment because they couldn't know where the pandemic will end. There was no development among the youth because they had lost their work. The young women got early married. So these are the aspects, because they couldn't get a job, they had to go for another, like especially young women, they had to get married so they can get some economic like some money for like to build their career in their getting married. So there was some also what we can call positive impact on COVID, because as they have mentioned that some youth got work as volunteering in during COVID. So they had some kind of volunteer where they're getting some motivation. At least they are getting some allowance for that work of volunteering. So these are the barrier of achieving aspiration, which we got from these young people. First of all, there are barriers to get the desired job, which is job experience, lack of information, lack of technology, job application cost, corruption. So those are the things that they have listed as the main barrier to get the desired job. So to get their business, to start their business, of course, they say that they are facing lack of confidence. Most of them, they don't have confidence they can start their own businesses. So the other thing they said, it is lack of capital. So to start a business, you need capital, you need startup money. So for them, they say that to start their own business, they are not finding that much capital to start up their businesses. So the barrier of education, they listed one, like these parents' negative behavior. Like their parents don't understand the importance of education. So due to that, they don't support them, whether financially or emotionally. So they also say that employment rate, due to employment rate, they are not motivated, they are not encouraged to continue their studies. The other thing is poverty. So poverty may not let them to continue their studies because they hardly get something to eat. So when you are not physical, you are not getting basic needs. So education is not your concern. As you said, that most of the time you may hear for a job offer, but because you don't have a work experience, it is a barrier, not a job required work experience, but there are many. These are quotations from one young female from Burera district, as she was saying that to get a job, they're asking experience. Most of job they're asking, not all jobs are asking experience, but she stated that many jobs are requiring experience. Like you see, some of us mentioned that the level of development technology is low, and they can't access to this social media where you get so many information when you are having WhatsApps. Like in villages, young people don't get, they don't have easily access to this social media. Most of them, they don't have this mobile which has this Android where they can download WhatsApp and get information. Even though they get, some of them, they don't have money to buy bundles so they can get information. So due to this issue, they are not getting information about any offer of job. So these are the quotation from what they're saying about barriers. Like this one is saying that poor situation in the family, there is a situation where you may get soap once in a month, and even soap have to clean clothes that we did wear the whole month. So how will I go to school in that uniform? when others wear clean clothes. In that situation, I take decision of staying home and leaving the school. So as I mentioned above, that education might be, they are not continuing their education because of the poverty. This is one of quotation where this young guy say that he's not feeling of going to school when he's looking dirty. He doesn't get soap to wash his clothes. Even if they get it, they have so many clothes, so they can't, the one soap is not enough. So he's not feeling comfortable of joining others in school because for that he decided to stay home. So the other thing we discussed with youth was about youth adaptability. So how they handled over these issues of all these barriers we have discussed before. So some of them, they say that they have opted to be in cooperative because they are bound to meet many advantages. So in order to get like capital or to start their own business, they have decided to work in cooperatives. So they can get together with like if they are working as a cooperative, they might get some capital finance to start their business, because to work their own, they couldn't manage. So about youth resilience, as you said that these young people, they said that the basic need is the work, then saving. With the saving, we make capital and start their business. So these are the ways they are, like the solutions they have come up with so that they can they can start their business. The one was working in a cooperative, the other one was saving, so they can put apart some money, so later they can start their own businesses. So this one was the one of the solution they were looking for. The other one was this young female say that the energy and strength to do different kind of work, the willingness to work and develop. So they are engaging in many different jobs so they can earn more money. So they are not, they think that to start their own business, they don't need to get one income. They are getting more income so they can get more money or to start their own businesses. So during the data collection, we as youth, we asked these youth to give recommendation or suggestion how they can start or they can achieve their aspiration. So few of these are the youth recommendation which we got from them. One was training. So they need that training, capacity building, so they can be adjusted on job market, or start their own businesses. Second, they want financial support. So this financial support could help them to start their own business and thus to achieve their aspiration. Another one is improve access to information. As we are saying that one of the barriers they're having, they don't access information about offers or opportunities, use opportunities. So they need that this access to information can be improved so that a wide range of youth can be informed about youth opportunity which are available in this country. Like this lady said, the role that government should play in the provide more training, stay close to youth, and teach the youth from different areas about activity that can improve a personal life. Another thing is to know that youth idea and what they need to be able to pursue their dream. So they are suggesting that government should provide more trainings, and they also need that their voice can be heard. So I mean that the government should take concern about their dreams or their aspiration, their views toward their development or toward to achieve their aspiration. These are the quotation. As we say that before disseminating this report, we had what we call a validation workshop, which invited many stakeholders of this project. So there was some recommendation they gave us. So one was this: there are many opportunities for youth, but the barrier of age limits them, and the policy may be easy as allow people with more than 30 years old to benefit the youth and opportunity as people come up with good idea and project when they are above 30. So these participants have suggested that as you see that people are coming with more idea and productive idea when they are above 30. So they were requesting that the young, like they are considering opportunities of youth, they don't go beyond 30. So they are only considering people who are under 30. So they were suggesting that they should consider people who are at above 30 because of many young people, they come up with productive like ideas when they are above 30. So with this age limit, they don't get opportunity while they have productive ideas. The other one was saying that government should ease the requirement like age, getting capital and financial support. This also was from a young from Gachenye, was saying that in getting like there are some requirements which are very tough for them. So with this requirement, they don't get financial. So they requested that they should ease the requirements so that a wide range of youth can get this capital financial support. So those are the recommendations which we got from this Youth Aspiration project. And as you see, this one of few of them was from young people, and few of them was from a perspective of people who attended validation of this research project. So we also waiting that after this presentation, we may have some ideas that we can also be added in this report that can be useful for policy decision so that young people can achieve their aspiration. Thank you for your attendance.
Can you please applaud for Christelle and Delphine for their presentation? So it's time for the audience. If you have any query about or something you want to ask, it's time to engage with us and ask questions. Question, contributions, they are all welcome. Christelle is around.
Yeah, thank you very much. As I presented myself earlier, I'm called Emmanuel Taylor from the Ministry of Education. I'm happy about the research and the findings. But the most important part that I'm happy with is that the findings found out that most of the youth want to be entrepreneurs, to become entrepreneurs. That's something that we are happy as educators. As you are aware, we introduced the entrepreneurship course in the year 2007. And if you see most of the young people want to entrepreneurship, you feel the happiness in as far as education landscape. So we appreciate that. My question is on the education barriers. This is where you mentioned about the parents' negative behavior. I don't know whether it's about the feelings of the respondents or it's the way of typing. I would prefer that you write it, maybe the parents' perception about a certain program. Because when you write parents' negative behavior, it means something beyond education and what. Maybe you can write it as a parents' perception about the program.
Yes.
Because that's where we
Delphine, take note of that.
Second, there's where you mentioned about, you wrote that the youth wants to be trained by the government. They need the training from the government. I don't know whether you ask the you engage in business that needs more training, of which I think the Minister of Industry can do more. But when you look at those who have been in a formal training, in a formal education, they have been equipped, and when you reach all our policies, there is that kind of lifelong learning. So they need also to have the courage to get more skills along their business journey. There's also something that I did not understand well, the way you mentioned about the business, where you related business idea and the age, where they are saying that someone who is above 30 is able to get more business ideas, but I don't think maybe further research can be done. But when you look at if you are in a business, maybe you start early 20s. Of course, you along the way you get more information. So it's the perception of the respondents. We need to get to have a thorough understanding of what taking place here. But I don't think age has something to do with the business idea. Last but not least, as someone from the Ministry of Education, I was much interested to see how the research is is trying to inform the policy, to inform the policymakers, to inform the higher learning institutions, to inform the TVET schools on how they can review their programs and make sure that the programs are aligned with the industry needs. So I did not see that. I don't know whether maybe it's the scope that you had, but if we can have something a line that is written informing the policy on how on the need to review the programs and ensure that the programs are aligned with the industry needs. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. As I said, I'm Agnes Mukabisata from UN Women and working at UN Women as a program associate, but also in charge of the joint youth program. We have a joint program within some UN agencies and the Ministry of Youth and other stakeholders. I will not come back to the parents' negative behavior my colleague here from Mineduca has talked about. I think this is, English is not our language. Or
it's not our mother tongue.
Mother tongue, thank you so
Yes.
much. So it was shocking somehow to say negative behavior on parents, but you have taken note, thank you. And I was also on the point of asking about the youth who have been interviewed. We have considered, you have considered youth from rural area, youth from cities, and among youth, we have some of them who have been in school and others who have not or who have stopped before finishing primary or secondary. I would like to know if that angle have been touched, because the need, the aspirations from those two groups are so different, and there is idea in terms of empowerment, employment, or those are different. Absolutely, yes. Also, during the presentation on the findings, at some point, they talked about young women who got married due to a COVID pandemic. At the time of the lockdown, I hope I captured it well. And I was curious to know, do you have numbers in those districts where the interview have been conducted? Is that marriage really, or is life in couples? And then after what happened? Because there were no marriage there that time. So correct me if I'm wrong. But really I was to know how many women or young girls have experienced that problem. Because at Rwanda, or in Rwanda, with our gender equality promotion and that statement, I think, I may not say that it is not right or it is not correct, but when we talk about it, we need to have data, or, you know, we need if really that problematic can be considered as something which happened to those 16 districts. Lastly, I would like to ask, in the recommendations presented here, there were these, I think they started by training, which is really vague. I was wondering, training in what? When I talked about the youth who have been in school or others who have not been at school or have come out of school, the initiative we have at UN Women, and which we implemented through FAWE as a partner, there is a training on digital skills, which helped young women to have knowledge of using computers. And out of the trainings, we have seen some girls who really succeeded in getting some jobs, like online services, like creating this lighting equipment, so many. So I would like to see this statement with additional information to be more concrete and more practical. So I think that's all for the time being. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, thank you. I think I start by answering 2 questions before I forget, because is it right? You want to compliment her? Okay, the mic.
Thank you, Agnes. I think you said what I was about also to raise. So adding on youth that is not educated, maybe we wanted some details about it. Maybe they are in the report itself. But I wanted also to hear about teen mothers, because they may have other aspirations that do not go with the normal aspiration of other young people. And then on the recommendation, as she said, Agnes, for me, I was about to add the training. You can also add the mentorship, because it's very important. Even if someone is trained and want to start a business, there should be that accompaniment until that person is successful. So it's just a compliment.
Okay, thank you, Edie. Agnes, thank you very much for your questions. I start by you. Jews. Who were the interviewee? If I recall very well, we interviewed, as I said, both rural and urban setting young women and men, but also we considered the aspect of youth in school, youth graduates, the graduates. We considered also those who are not in a job, or we tried our best to be inclusive and bring everyone, to have every young man and woman captured. I remember in the inception report, we had a slogan from our friend from National Council for People with Disability. He urged us to leave no one behind. So from the inception, we engaged and built our research on that. So I can see many of the young people we started with, they are even here. So we tried our best and we made sure that every category of the youth were captured and their idea were captured in our report. On the question of young women got married, just the field work were conducted just after the COVID outbreak. And it was around May 2022 when we corrected the data. So there was this atmosphere of COVID was not yet over. And from qualitative data correction, the young women expressed that during lockdown, they are the one who were affected more than their counterpart. Boys, be it what the director said of teen mothers, most, they were like, we were at home doing nothing. Then some got unplanned pregnancies. And after COVID, they didn't even return to school, some of them. And that's where marriage came in. After COVID, I had a kid and a husband, so I could not go back to school. I remember the statement in Kagano Nyamasheke of these young females. We used to conduct focus group discussion of females alone and males alone. And the focus group for females were conducted by young females. So I hope to have this fluence of ideas. So, yeah. It is violence. Oh, okay. Maybe we should restructure the sentence. Okay, thank you. The other one of training in what and mentorship. Okay, they need mentorship, of course. Their aspirations for future work and future entrepreneurial orientation need to be guided. They need to be guided, of course, and it is where also training comes in, because financial literacy, as I can say, it is also a problem in our younger people. Financial literacy, how to manage money, how to invest. So this is what we mean by training. We need also young generation to be trained on financial literacy and how they can invest in their dreams to become true. In mothers' aspirations, I'm not sure if we captured we can disaggregate the findings and have only this specific sector of teen mothers as them apart as a group, but we captured their aspirations, their ideas within the research, but I'm not sure if Delphine can disaggregate the data and bring up what only is specific to teen mothers. Thank you. I'm go back to my friend in the Ministry of Education, in charge of higher education. You are advising us to how to match the programs and the market. I think it's intentions. It's our target. We need, of course, as educators, it is very key that what you train in your young men and women is, of course, selling or can have value on the market. So it is a target of every educator and every researcher to bring out ideas that can bridge what we have in learning institution to what we have on the market. This is why, for example, I'm an educator too. This is why we need always, there is a continuous review of programs, review of what we teach, review of, so that we can match what is in the academic bench to the market. So it is a continuous process, and the target is, of course, to match the program taught, be it at the TVET, be it at the REB or higher education or universities. Of course, this should be our target, to bring out programs that meets the market demand. So thank you. The other one, I think, were the recommendations and the inputs. I can take the other questions. Christelle, we start by this table, we go to that one. Okay. Over there.
Thank you, Innocent. I want just to compliment with you and try to answer the question asked about parents' negative behavior. It's true that the term behavior may be wrong. It's parent perceptions. The example is that the youth were telling us that there are some parents that uneducated ones who sometimes tell their children that there is no need to be educated to them if they raise them uneducated so that they don't have to. So it's that perceptions that were told as a negative behavior. I think there should be negative perceptions. For teen mothers, we got this. We knew that as impact of COVID. At the first time we got to the field, we didn't know that before, so we didn't target them alone. Maybe we should extract from the data, considering their marital status and having children, and consider them as teen mothers, but we don't have them. We didn't target them because we didn't know that there was this impact of COVID. Thank you. Sorry, about training. The youth who recommended that the government should train them, where someone were asking about entrepreneurs trainings, training on entrepreneurship, and others were asking about vocation trainings. So for recommending higher education, maybe we should include in our report that they should focus on vocation trainings. Thank you.
Also want to add some comment on this. Someone who we had some workshop validation for this research study. So some comment came from audiences where they suggest that government should they consider the age of young youthhood between 16 to 30. So some of audience say that, especially people with disability, they say that they come up with ideas when it is when they are above 30. So due to that the age limit, they don't get opportunities. So they were suggesting that they should consider to provide, to get opportunities even though they are above 30. Those was perspective, ideas from audience. It wasn't like we added in recommendation as it was suggested by audience. Thank you.
Thank you. Just to start with this one, even for the age, I'm happy that it is a recommendation for us in agriculture. We do use 35. But again, and then why 35? We consider at the graduation from maybe university, you are at age of 24 or 25. Then to start the idea, to start implementing, to start the business, it takes you long than 4 or 3 years. So we consider 35. So I'm happy for this recommendation. But then to match with the access to information, would you mind considering FGD, like focus group discussions with the government institutions? Because you may find everything is there, but youth do not have the information to know that even in the government, it is there, then youth do not know. So we match the access to information from the government institution or private institutions, the youth. Then I would also want to ask about the questionnaire. I didn't know why a youth that want to be employed or to do business, responding the community work. I want to grow and do community work from Uganda. It somehow doesn't make a sense. Maybe it is the how and the strategy used to ask all the people he or she is with, so that you can, the freeness thing, to get more information. And would you mind, as someone who works with youth, I know there is, for these that do business, there is access to market and other productive assets. Here we consider the finance, but there is other access to productive assets that can help these youth to be in the business or in employment. I think that is all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. My name is Tadeo from Kimsagara Youth Center. I'm happy about the presentation, especially from Christelle, where she dwelt much on she got some quotes from the youth, the persons living with disabilities. So I'm wondering, because they mentioned that they lack access maybe to training, to information, but there's something, according to me, which is so critical for them. They might have forgotten it, and I would like to raise it now. There is, in most cases, youth centers, there's lack or sometimes inadequate infrastructure that are friendly to these persons living with disabilities. And I would like that it should also be dwelt on and come under the recommendations. Whereas we say there's training, but also access. This training cannot happen when these facilities we have are not friendly to the persons living with disabilities. Yeah. So like also Dr. Pauline mentioned some youth in Kenya not willing to go into education or work. They are just idle. So here in one we call it NEET. That is it's an abbreviation, NEE, then T. That is the national net of youth that are not in education, they are not in employment, and they are not in training. So we have to dwell much on that. We identify why, because the facilities are there. Like most of the youth centers, I'm coming from Kimsagara as a model youth center in Kigali, but we also have other 32 youth centers across the country. So they are providing these trainings and vocational courses for short term, like hairdressing, beauty, tailoring and fashion design, hospitality. All these courses are offered there at the youth centers almost free of charge. So why do we continue having these statistics from the National Institute of Statistics, where we have a section of the youth and falling under the NEET, not in employment, not in education, and not in training? What is the cause? How do we relate this, and how do we bring it out so that we really address the cause, the root cause of this problem? I thank you.
Thank you very much, Tade. Wait. We just address the two, then we go to the next. Okay. The young man here from agriculture sector was asking about or advising to increase the access of information to young people. And this is very true, because how do our young people access information? How are we equipped? So where do we have information about jobs, about or other offers, other opportunities? Access to information varies. Of course, nowadays, young people receive information mainly from the social media. And in the rural area, it is not that accessible. Abagira WhatsApp mu cyaro ni bangahe? Abari bake. You get. So access to information is very crucial to the young women and men, but it is a process in progress. So what I can say is that we captured your idea, and it is good to work on it, and so that they can have access to information. And you were also talking about focus group discussion with the government institutions to have this, to increase this access to information. If I recall well, focus group discussion with the government institutions, it is like this one. We are in focus group now. We are gathered here to have your ideas. Otherwise, during the research field work, you can't call the vice mayor of the district and have them 5 seated for an hour. It is not practical. So focus group discussion is for this. It has been conducted for this young and what you can find in the neighborhood. But for the government institution, we visited them. We captured their insights as key informants, one by one, key informants. Access to markets, it goes with access to information. And Mr. Tade was talking about lack of infrastructure. Infrastructure is a problem, not only to people with a disability, but we know infrastructure is a growing sector. And we hope in the near future, such infrastructure will be installed in our country and we can all have access to these training centers and other facilities easily. And I thank you. The next 2 questions.
I want to answer one question on what you mentioned about aspect of, so there was some aspiration that they are different. They may be economics or they might be social. So the one we're aspiring to be part of community activity was the social aspect. So those who are talking about financial, those was economic aspect that we captured differently. Okay.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you. My name is Diane Izawai. I'm from Rwanda Youth Voice for Change. I myself, I will talk this as a youth and also as someone who is giving a comment on this discussion. So mostly for youth to fulfill their dreams, to live their dreams in the future by working in the profession that they have desired since they were young. Economic problem will be the factor to consider. I like that you highlighted in the barriers as poverty. When there is poverty, someone can't afford education. When there's a poverty, there's a lot of chances that youth do not have or do not have access to because there's a poverty. They are not able to afford it. But also this will bring me to this point. I'm thankful that we have a delegate from Ministry of Education. I graduated from University of Rwanda, but there's a common problem where many people are admitted in the profession and the career that they haven't applied for. For example, I may have applied in midwifery or nursing, but you get admitted in irrigation. Imagine the production that person is going to give and the profession. Is it going really to give like impact, positive impact in the community? No, that person is working the things that he haven't chose from the beginning, and even the impact will be different. Thank you.
Thank you for your insights. And I guess we are here to capture the insights and improve the report and incorporate in our future publications and policy engagements. So for now, you will allow me, I beg for a few minutes. The question and answer series will continue after we hear from Professor Ayo and his boss. Thank you, Prof. The question and answers will come afterward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Innocent. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we're sorry to break the question and answer session, but I did promise you that the intro that I gave was half of the story. Join me in saying Murakaza Neza to our country director, David Ranjerwa. As you can see, he's a young man, like me. David, thank you.
Thank you so much. I didn't mean to interrupt this session because I was really learning and enjoying the insights. Thank you, Prof. Ayo. This is really good. It's a good session. And when I see the presence of all the partners, it speaks to our approach in our work at MasterCard Foundation. So I'm really, really happy to see the presence of you all brainstorming on the challenge that we need to be addressing together. So the team from PASGAR, that's how you say PASGAR, and then the other one of IPAR. And I know IPAR from previous work. It's really good that you help us to think and see what the numbers are saying, what the people are saying. And so I've been with the foundation for the past 1.5 years. And my name is David Rwanda, and I was in the education sector for quite and then I joined the foundation in 2022 August. And from 2022 August up to now, we've been having sessions of learning and sessions of learning, questioning our work, our theories of change. And broadly, the foundation seeks to create a world where everyone has the opportunity to learn and prosper. And so the questions that are being posed today from the findings, they really speak to informing this vision that we have of creating a world where everyone has the chance to learn and prosper. And broadly also, the foundation, relatively young, the foundation has been in existence since 2006, and it was set up to address two main issues. One is poverty. And so when I hear about the findings that poverty stands in the way of progress, stands in the way of young people reaching their fulfilled dreams and aspirations, I think this was a great decision that was made to work in the developing countries to alleviate poverty. So that's one. And then two is to provide opportunities for young people to have access to education and tools that enhance education, such as ICT. And I also saw that there were findings that if young people don't have access to ICT and the tools, then that also hampers their way to fulfilled lives. And then young people could be stuck, and they are stuck. There's a phase in life where if you don't have these opportunities, you don't have access to information, you don't have access to mentors, then you are stuck. And then we have a stuck generation. Right now, we are talking about 1.5 million young people who are stuck. They're not in school, they're not employed, they're nowhere, they're just there. And so that comes up with other issues like drug abuse, families that are not ready to be families, and then all these issues keep escalating. And so I really want to thank you for embarking on this journey with us. I see government officials here, people from the Ministry of Youth and Arts, the Ministry of Education, who are really key partners of ours. Now, from 2006 to now, the MasterCard Foundation has been on a journey to really learn and listen to young people and see how to drive development addressing those issues. And one of the decisions that were made was to focus on Africa. And Africa has a huge challenge of millions of young people who are not employed. And this could be converted to a workforce that is able to propel Africa to the next phase of a developed continent. And so we do this through a strategy that you probably know, which is Young Africa Works. And Young Africa Works strategy seeks to enable 30 million young people into dignified and fulfilling work. And how that is interpreted is across platforms. We have country programs. And so I represent a country programs, which is Rwanda. We are also in 6 additional countries on the continent. We are in Kenya, Uganda, Ethiopia, Ghana, Nigeria, and Senegal. So those are the country programs. And then we also have a Pan-African program, which looks to implement programs in countries where we don't have presence. And so Pan-Africa comes to put air in our sails, if you like, so that the ship can move faster and further. Then we also have Education and Transitions, a platform that enables us to ensure that youth are in school, But after school, then what? So linking them with entrepreneurship opportunities. And then we have another platform that is special programs that seeks to include innovative ideas and working with the young people. Coming to Rwanda, we've been in this journey since 2018, and we have been learning. We've been in sectors that are really key to the economy of this country. One of the sectors that we were in since 2018 is tourism and hospitality. So you've heard of Hangahazaza. And throughout the implementation of that sector, we learned that there could be more opportunities for skilling the young workforce to take advantage of tourism and hospitality. And in 2021, we refreshed our strategy in the country, and we added other sectors, key of which is agriculture. And we saw that agriculture has potential to offer opportunities for livelihoods, businesses in that sector. So we learned along the way that there are barriers that are standing in the way of youth going to their fulfilled dreams. Some of those barriers are a system that does not respond to their needs to establish businesses. And so the finding here that young people attach importance to businesses, and that's how they see that they'll be able to prosper if they can have their business. And so we looked at what stands in the way of the business growth, and this just the lack of support to support these enterprises, and then also a lack of appropriate finance that meets the young entrepreneur where they are. And then the other barrier that stands in the way is the young women participation in these value chains, agriculture, tourism, and hospitality, because there are a lot of hurdles that stand in the way of women to participate equally, including responsibilities at home. And so when I look at the women's voices reflected in this finding, saying that they will need an employment that allows them to be mothers at home, that kind of flexibility, it's addressing that barrier. And social norms and just stereotypes that are attached to things like women cannot equally compete in engineering, plumbing, whether it's construction. Those barriers still stand in the way of young women's development. And then we saw that agriculture, tourism, and hospitality they're really growth sectors, as we call them. But we also need to empower young people with education and skills, and then provide them with digital economy opportunities, including digital skills, platforms, and devices. And so with education and skills and digital economy, we'll be able to encourage women participation in these sectors. And everything that we do is driven by entrepreneurship. And so I'm really happy to see that young people, when they look at their aspirations, they think that starting a business is the way to go. And so we are on this journey with them. And then we did an outcomes baseline and strategy review in 2022 and 2023. And we saw that there are still hurdles that stand in the way of young people, especially those in the rural areas, that they are not yet able to take advantage of the opportunities around. So with that refresh, agriculture, what can we do in education and skills? What can we do in workforce development and entrepreneurship to ensure that we reach our target? So for Rwanda, our North Star is 300,000 dignified and fulfilling work opportunities for young people. 210,000 of them are young women by 2030. We believe that we can do more. We can get to that number and even beyond. And then we seek to partner with youth. We listen to them in line with our values of humility and listening. We talk to young people. It's the young people who have told us that for them to access dignified and fulfilling work, there needs to be 4 markers, one of which has been mentioned here, that is reliable income. The other marker is reputable work. Are they proud of the work that they're doing? How are their families' perceptions in terms of the work that they're involved in? And then the other one is respect and safety in the workplace. And finally, when it comes to fulfilling, they need to have a sense of purpose. And these are the young people who have told us. So I'm really glad that we are kind of adding touches to this painting that we've been having, to listen to insights and listening to researchers, and also just hearing from the stakeholders, questioning these findings to enable us to get to where we want to be. And we without a doubt, we can walk this journey together. We want to walk the journey of entrepreneurs. We want to listen. We want to be open to other innovative ideas that maybe we do not know. Who would have known that many of the meetings that we have now will be taking place online? But COVID taught us. And we saw that it is good for us to have resilience ingrained within our programs and approaches. So thank you very much. Thank you for allowing me to interrupt the session. I'll be sneaking. I'll be leaving at some point. But I'm really happy to be part of this conversation, and happy Women's Month. We love this work. We have a passion for it. I can talk on and on, but let me stop here. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Can you please help me and applaud for the boss? So we can carry on with our session of questions, insights, inputs. Now the floor is open. Crystal, please help me. Delphine? Okay, listening.
I take silence as go ahead.
Go ahead, yes.
Thank you. Thank you. My question could not be more timely. I'm Robert Simbi. I'm with the Mastercard Foundation. I work with the impact team. And my question is exactly about what David just hinted to. It's about the quality of the work. So you presented insights on the aspirations with regard to employment, but what about the quality of that employment? So exactly this morning, I was discussing with Jean Dodier from Sestral about what they see as the quality of work, and from their definition in the ILO, they call it decent, and they have indicators for that. At the Mastercard Foundation, we are not happy with just any work. It has to be dignified and fulfilling, and he has just mentioned the markers. So I would like to hear about what you said about the quality of the work, but also if they mentioned any amount, like brackets, even if it just ranges in like how much will be considered as reliable. But if no figure, that's okay. But if you could tell us about what they perceive, they aspire to in terms of quality work. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Simbi Roberta. Am I right? You mentioned decent work, isn't it? Decent work is defined by our International Labour Organization. There is a common definition upon that. The work we conducted with your institution and PASCA, we were just at the beginning answering, requesting or asking what is dignified and fulfilling work. We were in a quest for a definition. You get my point? So right now, there is no, I can say, no general, no official definition of dignified and fulfilling work. It varies with the social norms. The perceptions of dignified and fulfilling work varied. Young women, their perception differed from the men's perception. The perceptions in the city can be different when you go in rural settings. You get it depends on this economic, social, historical, and so on and so on. You get the point. This is why you can be discussing with the lady and he tells you, I have a dignified job when I'm in a job where they allow me to breastfeed my kid at work. You get? So these are definitions that can vary at any given point. So towards the what amount can bring quality of work, we did not quest about this one. We have no number figure to say that if I have 500K, now this is quality work. Not really, not really. It varies in the context, with the interviewee. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I am Regine Nyorukundo and I work in iDebate Rwanda. I have been given a privilege to lead people who are same age as me at a very young age, where I started my position as the Volunteers Program Coordinator last year in January. And I'm going to give different recommendations from the things that I have witnessed. In 2023, we welcomed 250 volunteers, and this year we were privileged that up to 400 volunteers applied to be part of our family. And so for the thing of accessing information, I would say that it's better that people who are employing, they start adapting this new technique of instead of just posting it there and leaving it there, how about you start approaching different NGOs? For example, if a company was hiring and they were to approach us, we already have access to 400 volunteers all across Rwanda. And that is information that is going to immediately be spread to 400 people. They can also work with universities where they can have different info sessions. And for, let's say, rural places, I'd suggest that because the government really does a good job in informing people about Urugerero when people are done with high school. So how about when they're having those meetings or those sessions when they're together as different youth in those sectors, how about they share the like this company is hiring, and all of these are the requirements. One more thing that I've witnessed with working with young people is that, so we always talk about trainings, but working with them and being a young person who's working, I've witnessed that there's something that is more than trainings that is needed. And that is when you teach people the strengths that it takes to get things done. Because people just want the end product, but they don't want to go through the process of waking up early. You know that you're working extra hours, but you're not going to get, anything out of that. But you have to make sure that at the end of the day, you make sure that you deliver. I really think that we have to create something that helps people understand that. And one of the ways in which we do it at iDebate Rwanda is because we have a lot of programs and most of them are run by our volunteers. So what we do is we help them to shadow. So they fill out a form and then they say what role they want to shadow, and then we give it maybe 3 months or 2 months, and they shadow that person, but they go through the whole process and all the strains that it takes so that they understand that any role that you can do, you're not just going to wake up and at the end of the day you have what you have to or report. There's more than that. And I've also witnessed that there is lack of ambition, and I think that maybe it should also be worked on because from the people that I've asked, the volunteers that I'm in charge of, find that even when I try to find opportunities for them, they're still asking me to do their CVs, right? They're still asking me to send them a written motivational letter. They still want us to do things for them, which shows that there's lack of ambition. They just want to sit and everything is paved and, they just get to the good thing that they want. And also one more thing is that we have a way that we have perceived what success and fulfillingness is. Therefore, if it's not that, then a person is not willing to take on that job. And I think that comes with blue collar and white collar jobs, because some people think that to be successful, it has to be this job. Therefore, even when they are looking for job opportunities, they're in on one side instead of looking, as a whole general thing and see maybe these different opportunities that we can look for, or these different opportunities I can look for, because they've already set that formula that the job that I want is this one. And if it's not this one, that I'm not going to do that. One last thing is, which I'm really grateful for people who helped me out. When I was done with high school, which was in 2021, I had no ambition. I joined iDebate Rwanda as a volunteer, but all I wanted was, I was just passionate about debate, right? But from all the activities that I've done as a volunteer, the people who were in charge of me, they are the ones that approached me and they were like, we've seen you do this, we've seen you do this, therefore we think you are good at this. We think that you should start thinking about this career or that career. And they followed up on it. And we also do that for our volunteers, where we have different info sessions for them. They talk to different people, and then from the way we see that they perform, we get to approach them. We're like, we've seen you do this and think this is what is good for you. And people like me, because I did not know what was good for me, I had no ambition. I just knew that I am done with high school, and when it's time, I will think about university. But at that moment, I did not have any idea. But I had people who approached me and they were like, we've seen you do this and we think you're good at this and this, therefore maybe you should start thinking about these different careers. And at that time I had applied to different universities and I did get scholarships, but because I've had people who told me that this is the right path for you, and I'm very glad, because where they led me, I am seeing a lot of outcomes from it. I am now doing my studies at ALU in entrepreneurial leadership, and most of the people who guided me, they told me that I would work better in HR, human resource. And that is why even at iDebate Rwanda, they put me in charge of a program that is more of HR as a way to continue training me. So for the youth, and I really love this approach of not assuming that we know what the youth wants, but go to them and ask them exactly so that we know how to better help them. I really appreciate. So thank you for thinking about that. So please, on the thing of making people understand that it takes a lot for things to be done. So my mentor, his name is Jean-Michel Habineza. He told me this thing. He was like, I can teach you how to cook. I can teach you how to eat. I can teach you how to get a fork and eat, but I can't teach you how to get hungry. And because I can't teach you how to get hungry, if I care enough, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try my best to get you exhausted or strain you so that you yourself find that hunger in yourself. Because even in Kinyarwanda, there's a proverb that says, "Nauga buri has," right? So the hunger is something that we really need to do a research about so that we know more ways on how to instill that hunger in the youth so that they start looking for things. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Regine, for your constructive comments. Next.
It's hard to speak after a debate. Okay, so mine is I want to hint on something they raised in the recommendations. One youth from Gachenye, where he said the government should ease the requirements like age or financial support from BDF. So I'm from BDF. What I want to talk about is maybe to make some clarifications where age is not our problem when it comes to BDF with almost 7 products. One of the products that we have, which is Guarantee, is the only product that sees people according to the age because of the priority of the government. So when it comes to other products, the remaining products, we don't have problem for the age. Like if it's in equipment financing, we see those who have certificates from technical schools, so we don't go much on the age. When it comes to agriculture, we don't see your age, so as long as you have energy and you're ready to work. So that recommendation needs some to make it very clear,
to refine, yes.
Because to fine tune it. So the problem is not the age, maybe information gap on the information. So if you need us to intervene on how we can make it right, when it comes to age and what we do as BDF, we are ready to do that. Thank you.
Thank you for your insights. For now, I will take 2 questions. We are running out of time. 2 insights or questions, then we go to the next program. Okay.
Okay. Hello again. My name is Raisa, and I'm from YWCA Rwanda. I have a recommendation, and just to kind of echo what Regine had said, is on the flip side of CSOs and the government and all other agencies that are working towards the youth resilience and things in that, like work in that area, I think it's up to us to work together to form a coalition to help young people. For example, in some of the recommendations, it was trainings, it was financial literacy. And I think depending on different organizations that do those things, we need to form coalitions that we can support each other. Because if my organization does one thing and there's a young person that needs those services, MasterCard or Pasger can recommend them to our organization. So I think we need to put a lot of effort in working together to kind of help young people to move through the motions.
Thank you.
So thank you very much. I will try to be very brief. As we are talking about aspiration of youth, so when someone says aspiration, what comes in my mind is the dreams, hope that someone has. And those dreams and hope differ to the trend and time. If I remember when I was at a very young age, our aspiration in terms of profession was to be teachers and military officers, something like that. So which is not the case currently. So I would wish, maybe I didn't read the whole report, the detailed report, maybe it is there, but if it is not there, it would be very much good to have something like sector segregations in terms of, because those people, if they have aspiration to have the employment, which sector, which skills they need, so that even the government can strategize for it. Because sometimes the government put more effort maybe into the IT and technology, but people down there, maybe they have the aspiration to be maybe the entrepreneurs. So I think it would be very much better to see if we can put that component so that it can be able to know where these youth are being aspired to be, maybe getting the job, whether good or bad, but to see how we can strategize toward alleviating that challenge. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. One and last one. Okay.
Thank you. I'm Neonzima Africa. I want more clarification in the PowerPoint. Can you go forward? But there.
Previous?
Yeah. Thank you. The second paragraph says the youth with disability wish to be considered like other to get some opportunities like normal youth. When it's normal youth, it means there is another part of youth which are not normal, which means it's not good to people with disability. Maybe she or he say that, but you have to collect them. When I read the presentation, it's like you stigmatized me because
Yes,
of my
yes,
youth with
yes.
disability.
I get your point. If
yeah, instead of normal youth, we can use youth with no disability.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you very much. This also sounds like traduction littéraire. It has been translated from Kinyarwanda direct to English without putting it in English. It is still in Kinyarwanda, if I can say, but also in Kinyarwanda it may sound rude. So we beg you accept our apologies, and English is also not our mother tongue, but we have apologized for this. Thank you very much. So the next session, Freddie, you're welcome. The floor is yours. We have a panel discussion, then lunch, then we close.
Hello. I need some 4 young people to see how sharp they are. The volunteers, 4 young people. Oh, you see? They were going to help me to set the chairs. Because you have not been so quick, let us do it ourselves. Okay, let me call Emmanuel, representing the Ministry of Education, and Etienne, representing the Ministry of Trade and Industry, Venon, representing RDB, and Yannick, Iteka Youth Organization. Mike bazijyanye nta zindi zihari bajya basharinga. Okay, thank you very much. We are going to a very short discussion about what you have been discussing already. My name is Frederick Naukudiayo, and I work for IPA Rwanda. So I want to have the attention of the audience so that you can get the insights of these people representing different institutions that are in relation to youth policy, youth activities, youth interventions. So thank you very much. We have had the presentation of the findings of a research on youth aspirations, and people have given different insight, the comments that need to be captured in the recommendations, but we also are going to get some insight from different institutions about policy and other existing programs that support the youth. So let's start with the Ministry of, I wanted to start with the Ministry of Trade and Industry. And what I want to hear from the Ministry of Trade and Industry is the existing programs for job creation, supporting the youth, and how the youth are aware of these programs. You are welcome, sir.
Good morning once again. Thank you very much for the question. As I have previously said, I am Oturimo Majambere Etienne. I work from the Ministry of Trade and Industry, and I work there as an entrepreneurship development policy specialist. Coming back to the question, there are so many initiatives that are being carried out by the Ministry of Trade and Industry to promote youth employment and job creation. But before maybe elaborating on this, I would start from something that I can call joint. You know, it is not only the Ministry of Trade and Industry to plan for job promotion and job creation. It is just having loot from what we call NEP. NEP which is a national employment program. Of course, the Ministry of Trade and Industry is part of the program. So what the Ministry of Trade and Industry does, there is a pillar, if you have that chance of getting the program, which has been changed into NSDEPS, National Skills Development and Employment Promotion Strategy. If you have that chance of getting the document, you will see that the Ministry of Trade and Industry comes in on the pillar of entrepreneurship and business development. So under this pillar, what we do, we just try to make sure that different types of entrepreneurs that we have in the country are well coordinated, are coached, are trained by different partners that are existing, but not only development partners, we also have district authorities who from there take their role. Maybe I've been hearing people having some questions around the training and the education as far as youth are concerned. There are so many other activities which are done, you know, maybe if I start from, you see, there are questions that were just turning around here in the room that I would have contributed to, but due to the time and because I was aware that I will be sitting here, I just kept the answers to be answered from here. There are so many initiatives under pipeline through NEP that I have mentioned, because as I mentioned, Ministry of Trade and Industry is also part of the program of NEP. Maybe I'm not going to answer for other ministries, but I will just speak as a member of NEP. Of course, just to share with you some information, but beyond that, I will also recommend the researchers to maybe if nothing will change on their plan or their scope of work, and also think of how they can plan to approach or to plan for interviews with these institutions in charge of NEP implementation, which is of course led by MEFOTRA. So among different initiatives that I was talking about, on this thing of access to information, there is someone who mentioned about it. The Ministry of ICT, in collaboration with the RISA, you know, sometimes there are some programs that you find maybe difficult to the government, being difficult to reach everyone where he or she is. But what the government does, tries to find some different solutions to arise the questions. So in every sector, there are people who we call intore mu ikoranabuhanga, ngira ngo hari ababazi mu mirenge or from different sectors across the country. There are those people in charge of training, helping on any matter arising concerning with IT. Again, what the government also has tried to do on that is an initiative that was initiated by Ministry of ICT, just to be closer to the community, but also information can reach to the people, including youth, from different ways. You know, there are Muganda, and that is why we encourage all of the people, including youth, of course, because we know every information that needs to reach to that very small unit of the population from the village, it passes through umuganda or community work. And that is why the government has thought of conducting different meetings after the activity. So that is why we do maybe encourage all the people, whatever age you may be having, to participate in those activities so that you will also receive that message that was provided for you, because you will find it always hard to come to you directly to give you certain kind of information. But when you work with others, when you like going to offices, different offices, maybe I can give you an example. There are some programs which, yes. I'm trying to summarize some programs which are developed, but in order to make sure that the information reaches the right person, you see, we use Twitter, we use Facebook, we use Instagrams to share the information, but also we make sure that we convene some technical meetings with those district local leaders to ensure that they help to spread the message. So for that one who is not able to get the smartphone, as some of us have mentioned, there is that channel to make sure that we have the local leaders on the panel and we exchange and maybe decide on which message to be carried out to the population.
Okay.
Again,
thank you very much. Let me cut you short a bit. I shall come back to you again.
Okay.
So pass the microphone to the person representing the Minister of Education. I want to ask him, as the findings of the study have revealed that the majority of the youth want to be self-employed. So how does education policies align with entrepreneurship and job creation to meet and respond to such youth aspiration?
Yeah, thank you very much. As I told you earlier, I'm Emmanuel Gutierrez from the Ministry of Education, and I'm in charge of higher education in the Ministry of Education. So I'm in charge of the policy of higher education. What is the ministry doing to ensure that the youth who come out of school can join the entrepreneur, can be entrepreneurs, can join the labor market? There are quite a number of many things, but to start with, you all know and you lead, the Minister of Education is mandated to ensure that all citizens of Rwanda are equipped with knowledge and skills that can enable them to be the citizens of the country that are responsible. The responsible citizens. I did not read it the way it's structured, but that's the major mission of the Minister of Education. So when you read our policies, more especially the education policy that is under review now, you may find three main things that are under the policy. One is to ensure the access. And we are happy that in the region, when we look at, when it comes to accessibility to education, in the region we are now ahead of many countries. When we look at the net enrollment in primary, it's now around 94. It used to be 98, but it has gone down to 94. But I don't want to go into details. The reason is the change of the age, the starting age from 7 to 6. So that has affected the net enrollment. So in terms of access, we are on a good track. Another point is on the quality, which is something that we keep on working on daily basis. But I want to talk mainly on relevance that is quite responding to the question that you've asked. Relevance means that what do we teach and how do we teach that? We train for the market, and we train for those whom we train. They are not supposed to remain in schools, but they also have to go out in the industry and work, either working by starting business, either working for other companies. We are happy when you look at what is from the surveys that we are been carrying out, that the industry is happy with our graduates, ranging from those from TVET and higher education, but it's also an area of research that you researchers can take deep research to see how the products from the higher learning, from the education institutions are responding to the labor market demands. But we have been doing quite a number of things. One of them is the review of the curriculum. You remember 2016, the Minister of Education through Rwanda Education Board, which is now Rwanda-based Educational Board, revised the curriculum from knowledge-based curriculum to competency-based curriculum. We have been seeing good positive results from that. The products from the new curriculum is effectively responding to what the market, to what the labor market is demanding from us. And that one is something that we are happy for. Even in the TVET, we also worked to ensure that the TVET is a practical path, is based on the on-the-job training, and we have been working with the industry to ensure that our trainees from TVET schools, from high learning institutions, we collaborate with the industry to ensure that they get on-the-job training. It's not yet at the point where I want, but we are sure that if we continue the collaboration, we'll get the best graduates from the TVET and high learning institutions. Last, when you go to high learning institutions, you remember 2016, we made an merger of the 6 public high learning institutions that were existing by then. And they were merged into one university, which is the University of Rwanda. The reason was to ensure the effectiveness of the effective maximization of the available resources. The resources being the human resources. You remember those who went through the programs of before 2013, those who are studying in the former National University of Rwanda, former Kigali Institute of Education, former Kigali Institute of Science and Technology. Each institution was working in isolation, and they were using their resources alone. So the merger was to ensure that all the institutions become colleges, and the colleges share the resources. And now the lecturers are moving from former National University of Rwanda, they cross to Rukara College of Education, and you see, we are happy that we are getting graduates who are being trained by different lecturers. There are many, but from the policy, you also remember, we are emphasizing on the TVET, whereby we ensure that we want that those who complete O level, that's the ordinary level, at least 60% join the TVET stream. We haven't reached that number yet, but we are working to ensure that everyone who completes O level, at least 60% goes to TVET, because that's the future of the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And then let's go to RDB. So how do you see the connection and the gap between the education and the market, and how do you come in to bridge that gap? A young graduate and the market, how do you build their skills so that they can be ready for the market?
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Vena Ozaisinga. Just to correct, I have been working at RDB for the past 5 years, but now our project is transferred to Rwanda Polytechnic under Minedik, but still in the same project called ICT Innovation Center. Actually, RDB one was trying to initiate that institution or project, was trying to solve that problem, the gap between which is between graduate and the market in job creation. And we have been offering short and professional trainings focusing on multimedia skills, as well as entrepreneurship for startups and incubators. When I talk about incubators, there are people who graduate with idea as individual who wants to grow their business or to commercialize their product. That is even where TVET schools and the RP is matching with our mandate. The reason why maybe they choose Rwanda Polytechnic to be our top managers nowadays. And by my experience as instructor and business mentor there, people are skilled from secondary school and the IPRCs. And their expectations are very high, but the reality on the field is different. When you tell him to be patient in order to be successful by creating talented team, by branding his brand to be trusted and recognized by consumers, sometimes they're not patient because the expectations are unrealistic. The reason why our curriculum are trying to train them the basic skills, even though you are good technically, but also to be able to perform well in the financial literacy, in the business growth, and such and that. So, if we talk this, it can take a day because it is our journey. Even if all of us, when we went at the school, everyone was dreaming something else. We went to it, we have opportunity, especially for scholarships. We graduate and became professional in a different way, as our friend was saying. But still, when you have a dream and hope, as your research said, your findings said that people prefer to have a good job, as well as 71%, I guess. And 66% said that acquired a good job. Some people, where they work is not their preferable. And RDB was trying to see, you have a talent, okay, come and train you to see if you can create a job and also make a good business. I guess that your findings is matching with the long term for government through RDB project.
Very much. Now, Iteka Youth Organization, you have been helping young people. So what inspired you, first of all, to help young people, and how is your interventions meeting the young people aspirations?
Yeah, thank you so much. And I would like also to appreciate this program and these research findings. And with the Iteka Youth Organization, I think we are trying to work on what have been discussed here and raised. Our organization is dedicated to youth empowerment and talent detection through different projects, socioeconomic projects, educational projects, art and cultural projects. So I think what inspired us to work on this, of course, are the challenges that we have seen here. we believe that young people are the pillar and the foundation and the vital force of the country. That's why we have understood that if we invest in young people, we are guaranteed that the country may progress faster in different areas of the country. So by detecting talent, I think here we've been saying about, I think almost everything have been said. There are challenges, there are recommendations. I think by detecting talent through this project, business, education, we try to detect what this young people is capable of doing. It's not about entertainment. Yes, of course, there is one side of entertainment, but also if we are trying to, I remember when we were still in the primary, even secondary school, when we are not good at mathematics or in other course, they used to tell us that you are igichuchu, you know, like you don't have wisdom. But it's not true. It's because it's not mine. Sometimes we don't find orientation because we don't have those people to orient us in certain areas of our lives. But by detecting, by trying to discover what this young people is capable of doing, his, her gift or her talent, it's where you can start developing him, her, to detect what is capable of doing in the future. Maybe if he is good at football, yes, find him facilities or orientation, guide him to do football. If he is capable of, is good at mathematics, maybe, yeah, he can go on with, you know, medicines and other stuff. But sometimes, even when we see today's challenges, so young people are confused. Yes, we have so many opportunities. We have so many facilities, but young people are confused. They need benchmarks that allow them to successfully lead or make various, make choices to live their lives. We have, we are in the digital era, we are in the modernization. You will see some young people even trying to, because of lack of access or lack of this orientation, they try to live in, young people try to live their dreams, to live in others' dreams because of...
Let me interrupt you. So what is your experience now in helping the youth and what have you achieved? Now you can focus on this. What is your experience in talent detection and what are the achievements that you are proud of as of now?
Yeah, thank you. I think our achievement by experience, we have seen that we have so many talented young people that only need to be oriented and to be equipped enough and to get access to develop their talent and develop their gift. So I think we have been working with different young people, and we have achieved so much so different things through education and art and culture. We are working even now on different projects so that we may keep orienting them and helping them to find this facilitation and access to become what they need to become and happily work in the areas that they prefer. Thank you.
When I come back to you, maybe you would give us one success story. But let's come back to Minicom. As we wrap up this session, I want everybody to respond to this general question. So, what are your experience in working with the youth through your respective areas, and what can be done better to help the youth get fulfilling jobs? Yeah.
Thank you very much. Maybe I would like to request you give me like 30 seconds or 1 minute to first answer the first. So the Minister of Trade, maybe coming back to the first question that was asked, that have not been able to respond because of highlighting on some issues. What the Minister of Trade is doing to just ensure it is part of job creation and employment promotion. You see, we have the industrial policy, and what the Minister of Trade and Industry is doing to ensure many industries are established in the country to absorb as many as possible people into the area. Again, we work with the BDF and the NEP, as I said. Maybe we shall have time to talk of it. Again, the Minister of Trade and Industry has the responsibility of ensuring that in the whole country, ICPCs, I don't know whether everyone knows what ICPCs are. Uduchiriro. So Uduchiriro, which are ICPCs or integrated craft production centers, are also part of the Ministry of Trade and Industry to promote job creation and employment. And youth also are encouraged to be part of the operators in ICPCs. So coming to the question that you had asked, second question of the ministry's perception on the youth participation there. So normally we have not yet reached to the expected targets, but we are still working on the issue of encouraging youth being grouped themselves into cooperatives so that instead of working one by one, they can work as a group, whereby it will be possible to anybody, if the government has mobilized different development partners, it will be hard to go and reach one by one where he or she is. So as the Minister of Trade and Industry, if the youth are grouped together into cooperatives, it will be easy to orient the person. You go direct to Karongi, you go direct to Rusizi, you go direct to any district because you have the database of the created cooperatives and we know what are their objectives. So we orient properly with the need of the youth. So we shall keep on mobilizing them, encouraging or bringing also some other initiatives in as far as the problem of guarantee has been raised, collateral. So there are so many initiatives that are being thought of to alleviate some different challenges. Thank you.
Pass the microphone to the next person. With you, yeah, Yannick, your experience with working with the youth, you have been mentioning some achievement, but can you share at least one success story of what you have achieved so that others can learn from this and give some recommendation of what can be done for the youth to discover their full potential?
Yes, as an organization, we've been working with different young people And one of the projects that we annually have is the ITEC African Culture Festival that gather different young people. We recently had it in January, where we have different artists with different disciplines. We have like dancers, vendors, entrepreneurs, artists, and in that festival we organize workshops where we train these young people to invest in cultural industry. Recently, we had 50 artists that participated in the workshop, where they learned how they can raise a business in cultural industry. And after we had like around 400 artists that participated in this festival. And at the same time, we have different entrepreneurs who bring their articles and expose during our exhibition and expo, where they could find, where they can network with different entrepreneurs and artists, whether those who are based in Rwanda or outside Rwanda, so that they may inspire each other. So this is one of the big projects that we annually run, and which is very impactful, and which help these young people to connect with other successful business people or other people in other areas. So what I would say, I would urge other organizations is to keep investing in these young people, and to first of all to try to discover. Yes, of course, there's someone who raised something like there are young people who are there just to be everything to be done for yes, and there are other people who don't know yet. Yes, they have gift, they have what they are capable of doing, but they don't know. They need someone to help them to discover what they are capable of doing. So other organizations, I would use them to maybe before rejecting someone, there are people who, there are young people who may ask like internship or to volunteer in an organization. Yeah, I think if there is a space or there is a way, please understand them, give them this opportunity. It's where you can discover, it's where you can know what they are capable of doing, or in which area you need to help him or her to develop. So let's invest in young people.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Before I go to your last two questions, I would like to mention about the figures or achievement of the institution for the past 4 years. We were able to help 1,032 graduates from both incubation and the training program, and they're the one who are even changing how we see digital content on YouTubers, and even Izatu TV is changing life of many artists through film production. And we offer our program for free of charge. But those who come for our training, you must come with an idea, or when you have a business, to be able to compete for the opportunities. And from experience, starting from a training program, you go there when you are not yet a startup. You end up by competing for office as like other external applicants. And one of the best performer is called Kina Game. I don't know if someone knows the brand. They won the tender of digitalizing virtual lab for labor, and you are, I think nowadays, they were able to get a lot of money through award and bidding after winning the hackathon. And for startups, I was mentioning is that now is acquired by Canal Plus and also helping other film producers through their licensing business to be paid based on the content you are providing. How to discover youth potential? What I realized, youth are really hard workers. They know how to do things in product implementation or development. But for business, their skills, development skills is very low. As I was mentioning, they want to make money immediately, no patience. So I wish identification is those like TVET schools, universities, they need also to see how they can do awareness to teach them, even if it is their age, to try and fail, they learn through their mistakes. But when you come to business, it's not a joking. So sometimes you kill your brand at the beginning when you even the business idea is good. They pretend to be the consumer of their solution. Yes, solution is good. Let's give an example. Even yesterday, I was mentoring one of the startups, and when I was asking about the competitors, he was showing me how is it less convenient and it is very cheap. Well, no, more convenient and very cheap. Then he was telling from me that other competitors, they are charging a lot of money and there are many in one box. I was asking him, why are you alone in your box? Do you think others do not understand the market? So your business is in danger. I cannot invest in you when you are alone in your box. Think about why other people are charging a lot. And they are even experienced than you. Because it's still young, no, you don't understand my business. Yes, I do not. I don't change your business, but you are in a danger zone of losing award competition. You are trying to convince the investors, even if they are an angel investor, but they assess you based on your life of business successful. So I was saying that for their potential, we needed to trust them, but also to guide them through mentorship, as like others were saying. But we needed to make sure the curriculum is aligning with which someone is looking for. Don't teach him technical skills when he wants managerial skills. Let him choose what he wants based on let's call it aspiration, as we were talking about. Then I wish it is the way we can move forward.
Yeah, thank you very much. Mine will be too short. Experience with working with the youth and what to do to ensure that they realize their potential. Youth have got interesting ideas and they have dreams. Even when you start with the younger kids that you have at home, whenever you ask them, they tell you, I want to be this, I want to be a pilot, I want to be a doctor, I want to be this, I want to be this. So that dream keeps on growing as they go up. So what the education does is to ensure that their dreams are well aligned with what the future markets wants. So that's one is done in curriculum, as my colleague has said. We do that in curriculum to ensure that their dreams are well aligned with what the labor market wants. And we also keep them with skills. We keep them with skills, and we do an inspiration message. You give them, we call some people from the business or people from the industry to come and inspire them. I'm now talking to those who are in university, those who are in TVET schools. So they come and inspire them and give them the kind of orientation, the kind of mentorship and guidance. So we do that. Not yet at the point where we want, but that's something that we need to do to enforce and ensure that youth are given clear orientation, clear guidance to ensure that their dreams have become a reality. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let's clap for our panelists for their good ideas. And I think the team of researcher has taken note of some of their very constructive insight. So this is the closing of our panel discussion. So I wanted to hand over to Innocent, and I wanted to communicate that we want to wrap up to close quickly the remaining session so that when we go to lunch, we don't come back here. So I will beg your patience for the closing session that we are going to have. It should be not too long. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You can go back to your seats.
Good afternoon once again. Mwashonjese. Please. Ndagira ngo mbasabe mumfashe duha amashyi aba panelists bacu. Thank you very much. Indeed, we are partners. Turabashimiye natwe aho muzadukenera turahari. I want to thank everyone that made it to this dissemination workshop on behalf of IPA and on behalf of myself. It has been a good one. I'm really happy that he made it, and I wish in my next calls you will also make it. Thank you very much. On regards of research, this research is not closing yet. We are still have some tasks to do as a research team and our collaborators and partners. Your insights and inputs are always welcome, and they will be incorporated. You know, there is one thing, having an idea of research, conducting field and collecting data, analyzing and producing a report. But the research is not yet done when not communicated. So this is the first step, to communicate the result, but also we need to communicate to a broader community of researchers. So we are still have room to incorporate your insights, as we have not yet published the final journal articles, reports, and so on. So there are room to incorporate your insights. So I deeply thank you very much, and would like to invite you, all of you, on the front stage so that we can have a group photo together. Can you kindly allow me have a group photo with you? Ba photographe baradufasha badusobanurira uko tuyifata, ko ndabona room ari ntoya. Yes, welcome. Muze dufata agafoto k'urwibutso. Abajene baravuga ngo nta foto nta cyabaye. Abajene murahari? Nta foto nta cyabaye.